Hi guys, it's Clarice and welcome to another video tutorial with me. If you're new to my channel, I put out regular videos on watercolor, just exploring to have some fun creating typically florals, but because of the holiday season, we are exploring more holiday related paintings or creations of art. Today we are going to be doing this little gnome or Gnome, and he's got a couple of presents and a sign, and I'm not quite decided what the sign is going to say, but let's just wait till the end and see, shall we? Alright, so to begin, supplies. I have my Escoda number 2, my Silver Black Velvet number 4, and Princeton number 8 handy. I've got 2 little bowls of water on the side, or cups of water. I have my White Knights 36 set of 36, or 35, one's missing, I gotta find it. And then I also have my metallics by KMS, just handy because I think I'm definitely going to embellish with some metallics. And that's it, and we're ready to begin. Oh, actually, paper. The paper I'm using is Etchr Postcards, so this is 100% water, sorry, not 100% watercolor, 100% cotton. So I figured I can paint this guy, and it can also serve as a card that I can send out to a friend. All right, now so I figured I'll just walk you through really quickly of how to draw in your own little guy. So I just took my lined paper that I had handy, and this is literally just going to be a rough explanation of how you can get a gnome and how you can create these in different variations. I have one, but feel free to add 2 or 3 or whatever to your little painting or piece of artwork or card. Okay, so the first thing we're doing is doing the hat, and so it's typically like a rectangle. You can have it going straight up, or you can have it going a little bit floppy off to the side like how I have it, in which case you would just kind of give it a little bit of a twirl that way, or a slant, and then you draw the next part of it, and then you have it attached to the bottom. Now if you want to make the hat more of looking more like a Santa Claus hat, you can absolutely have a little border to it like that, and this could be the white portion, this can be the colored portion, red, and then you got your little white fluff ball at the top. And then right away, immediately, you do a little bit of a curve here. This is where we accommodate the nose. Again, this is a very rough drawing. I'm just kind of showing you how you can add it, do your own little painting. Sorry, drawing, base drawing before you start painting. And then for the actual beard, you can, like I've got a couple of ridges happening here, but you can totally do something that is like just one twirl if you wish. And then finally for the body, you're just kind of starting from there and you're going downward. And I should have an eraser here just so that it doesn't look completely off. Obviously you're doing a rough drawing of this, and so you know there will be erasing and back and forth and whatever. I like to have the base a little more rounded just so that they're cuter looking, so it's a little too tapered here, so I'm just going to round it up, and I'm making it slightly longer than the beard. Now feel free to give the body more of a pattern, so if you want to give him a cute looking sweater, you can add some pattern to it, or if you just want to keep it simple, just make it green. And then finally for the legs, I've seen some where they don't have legs as well, but let's just take it a step further. Let's give it legs because mine has legs. So you're just drawing this in, and then we're drawing his little boots. Super simple. And another little round bit here, and there he's got his boots. And then finally you can leave him without hands, but if you want hands, just like how we did in my painting here, we're doing a round bit and then a little bit of a thumb and then your whatever he's holding in his hand. I'm just again, very roughly drawing this in because it's literally just an FYI. Here's how you can draw it if you want. And there we go, we have our little guy. Okay, so I hope you guys got a chance to draw this, get creative with it, and let's start painting. Okay, so just a really quick note before we begin. I am going to use the number 8 to typically dampen an area, so just using water typically, just because everything seems to be really tiny, and I think the number 4 and the number 2 will be perfect for details like that. So number 4 is going to be used dominantly for our painting. Okay, so we're going to get to mixing some colors. So I'm going to get some ruby from my white knights over here, and we're going to start mixing color. So here's the ruby. I need more water, and let's just get a good enough amount. So I'm going to use this as the base color, and then for shadowy bits I'm going to use I'm going to get a little bit of the Madder Lake red involved. Okay, so just putting my colors down and mixing it up over on this little bit here. So that's a nice pretty red, and we are ready to begin painting. So I'm going to start off with doing his hat. So since we've got the base drawing already, we're just kind of going along and painting this whole thing in. Now, one thing you could have done was, as I mentioned with the number 8, using it as a dampener to kind of lay down some water on the sheet before going in and painting. You could absolutely have done that route as well. You know what? I think I'll do that maybe for the bottom of him, and then this way we've done 2 different styles, and you can decide which you prefer doing. So we're just painting all of this in, leaving the little guy, the fluffy fluff ball at the top, white. I'm going to use Payne's Gray for that one. And then I'm going to get some of my Madder Lake red, as I mentioned. And we're going to add some color in there. So Madder Lake red is right here. Oops, let me get some of that. And mix it into my palette, just a little bit onto the side. I want to make sure that this area is still damp, and so I'm going to go ahead and add some color, Madder Lake red on here, some over there, some little bit on the top here, mostly at the very tip. I want a nice variation of this 2-tone red happening. And then if you want a darker tone, I would say mix in some sepia. So next we are going to mix in some sepia, and we're going to add like a slightly darker hue on here. So where's my sepia? My sepia is over here. Just taking a bunch of it and mixing it on here. Now you can decide how dark you want this to be. I'm going fairly dark. Okay, let me just move this here. but I also know that when it'll dry up, it won't be as dark. And so that's why I'm kind of going on the darker side and just highlighting the areas here to kind of really show some nice shadowy details. All right, so we are done the hat. Now we get to move on and do the next part of this. I'm just going to add a couple more of these lines going upward. Washing off my brush, just kind of dabbing it on paper towel onto the side. I'm just going to blend this in. Perfect. Love the deep, deep red. Okay, so now we're going to go do the bottom, and for that I'm going to use the olive green. I think the olive green is going to be a nice, pretty green to use for it. So I'm going to get some of that olive green, and I'm just going to mix it onto this palette that already has some green, and that's okay. And now, like I mentioned, we're going to dampen this area first before we add the green. And so I'm just going to dampen it ever so slightly. So I'm making sure not to kind of go into the area of the beard. And what's going to happen, actually, yeah, this is 100% cotton, so it should be fine. So just make sure that you're dampening it to the point where you're not getting pools of water, but you can clearly see that it is nice and damp. So not too little, not too much. This might take a little bit of practice, and that's totally fine. You can't just expect to try something and then have it work on first try, although I'm sure there are some people who do get it right away. Now the reason no pooling is if you have water pooling, then it's just going to collect and it's not going to do that pretty flare out effect. So that's one of the reasons we do the dampen before and then add the color, is so that A, it doesn't get into the next spot. So we don't want it to get on the beard. So we're literally just dampening this area, and then B, it's a quicker way to paint because then the color kind of just flares out. Now at this point I'm going to get a little bit of the side, the green, it's called green, and I'm just going to add some green in these areas here and give it more of a shadowy look. And leave it at that. So there we go. So we've got that, and now it's time to do the other side. So the other side, again, we're going to dampen it just like I mentioned. I can see there's some pooling, so I'm just dabbing my, I just dabbed my paintbrush so that the excess water doesn't come from it and like settle on the page, because that's not what we're looking for. Okay, so now I'm getting some of the green, and we're gonna start again painting this side. So again, notice how the color kind of just runs down. Obviously you're helping it as well, but it does that nice little flare up, which I think is what this is the characteristics of watercolor that makes it so therapeutic. It's the satisfying, the satisfaction that you get from watching the color just like flare out. I kind of went over the edge here on this beard, but that's okay. So we're almost done this. Then I'm going to get some of the green and just add a little bit in the corners, pulling it down here as well. And there we go. We are done that part of it. So before we get to the stockings, actually what I should have done was added, when we were doing the hat, to add some of the red onto the glove as well. So we're just going to quickly paint that in. And you can do the same shadowy bits on the glove as well. So I've given his hand a little bit of an extension. It's not directly attached to his body. And so I think what I will do is just get a little bit of the darker red and just add that below. So it can look like it's either part of the shadow or maybe like an extension to his glove. Two different interpretations, right? That we can go with. There we go. Okay, perfect. So now we are going on to the stockings. And so for the stockings, I think you can either do like a red and green, or if you want to do something a little more eclectic, maybe like black and white. I think I'm going to use some of the champagne and black to go with it, or maybe champagne and green. Champagne, green, and red. Let's do that. I'm going to go with that. Right. So we'll start off with doing red for the stockings. And so red, champagne, green, red, champagne, green. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. And let's start. So I'm going to get some of the red right here. And what I will do, I think, is I'm going to do this one in red, and I think I will do one color using the number 2, because these are the tinier areas too, so you can actually fluctuate with your paintbrushes here. I was actually thinking it would be really cute to do a gnome, but like a girl gnome, if that makes any sense. 1, 2, 3. And then maybe give her a bow and make it really cute, because you normally see these kind of gnomes. But you know, if any of you guys are inspired to take this idea and create your own, I would love to see it. You can absolutely tag me on Instagram or on Facebook. My handle is at Hello Clarice G. Love watching how you guys run and create your own stuff, like using your own imaginations. It's always nice. Okay, so I'm going to get some of the green now, right here, and we're going to start off by painting down here. Actually, I really like this red, white, green, so I might just leave it red, white, green. Let me finish painting all of this and see how I feel. Oh, some red got into the green at the top. It's okay. Now if that happens, you can, and if it's really bothersome to you, you can absolutely take your paper towel. I've got it buried under all my stuff here, and you can just kind of lightly dab. So that it doesn't spread out too much. Oops, I had green on that. It's okay. It can act like a little bit of a shadow. Okay, so that is the stockings. I'm going to leave that white, and then let's just decide as we go along, like what I feel like doing. All right, so next thing, moving on, we are going to do the boots, and let's just keep it simple. We'll just use black, And then for the shadowy bit or the glisten on it, which I've kind of outlined there, if you are doing that, you can use like a Payne's gray and start that. Paint that in. So again, I'm just using the number 4 and I'm just painting it in like you would in a sketchbook. So again, this video would be great if you are starting out in watercolor and you just want to start off easy and just get accustomed to mixing, and then the feel of, I guess, personally mixing the colors and laying down the color on your sheets of paper. And this is just leaving you with a end painting that you can actually use as a card, or even just something you want to keep personally if you are just beginning. Or actually, you can even do this with your kids. I think it's a great holiday family exercise and activity. And so you all do it together. Actually, I should probably do something like that with mine, speaking of. Okay, so painted those boots in. And again, I'm really liking the white, so I feel like I might just leave it white for now, let it dry, and let's just see what happens after. So now we can move on to doing the nose. And so for the nose, I think I am going to use a combination of two browns. I think one will be, my Mars brown is missing, so I think I'll use the raw sienna and burnt umber, and let's go from there. Okay, so I'm gonna get some of my raw sienna. And here we go, let's paint that in. Now if you want more of a pinky tone, I'm sure you can mix some brown in and brown, I think, with a little bit of like an orange. And then you can get like a peachy tone, I think. I'm not mistaken. Now I'm going to get some of the burnt umber and just do the bottom half of this. And what happens is, by doing this kind of painting, like it's not dried up and you're just going at the bottom and outlining another color, you're getting a nice blend. This is the exact same technique we've used for the hat. And so you're getting a nice duotone blended effect. But if you don't want to have it too blendy, then you can absolutely just leave it one color and you're fine. Oh, one more thing. We should have also painted this portion black. So I'm going to get a little bit more black using the number 2 and paint that in. So let's just do that really quickly. That's when you know there's too little water on your brush, or not enough water on your brush, rather. So just going to make sure that it is laid on properly as we go along. I know this is slightly crooked, but that's okay because the illustration style isn't supposed to be perfect, and I am okay with that. And I'm just going to get a little bit more of that black added in here, allow it to spread and be nice and dark so we get a nice slate look. There we go, perfect. I'm just going to touch up the shoe or the boot a bit. A boot, a boot, a boot. Yeah, perfect. There we go. Done that. And now we can move on to doing the rest of this. So I think the next thing we can do is the presents, and then we'll leave the beard, and then the final, I guess, the whatchamacallit, the sign for last. Alright, so I painted the two boxes and I made that a time lapse because it's fairly easy to do. So I didn't figure you would need to see me, watch me paint in real time. So just to let you know the colors I used Quin Rose for the bottom, and then I used turquoise for the top. And what I did was mix the turquoise with a little bit of dark blue for the top area, and then this part at the bottom I mixed a little bit of violet with the Quin Rose to get a darker hue. Okay, so now we're going to do the ribbons, and I've decided I would like to do the ribbons in metallics. And so I've got my KMS metallics ready, and we're gonna use the diamond for one, and we could do the champagne for the other. So I think the diamond I'm going to use for the bottom here. And I have left a little bit of white space in between the presents. I kind of like how it looks. Yeah, there's white space on the boots, there's white space in between the presents. Kind of like that loosey feel. Alright, so I've done it there. I just got to do it at the top. It would make sense if the top was slightly darker, so then it doesn't look like one long strip. But again, I'm not going to sweat the small little details like this. Just leave it as is. Okay, so we've done that, and now we're going to do the champagne. So the champagne is over right here. So I gotta really get it going before I start painting. There we go. Okay, so for the inner bits of this guy, I think I will, of the bow, I will definitely need to get like a darker hue. So what I'll do is get a little bit of the bronze and use the bronze mixed with some of the champagne. And let's see how that works out. Okay, so now we've got some bronze right there. And then spreading it on the inside too. And again, I'm leaving a sliver of white. Between the outer bit of the bow and the inner bit. Keep that in there. Okay, perfect. And then reverting back to the champagne, although I could have done this the first time around, I'll just do the rest of this. Perfect. Getting a little bit of the bronze because get this at the top. Perfect. Done. So we've got our cute little metallic bows happening here. And now we'll go on and do the beard. It's turning out. So for the beard, what I am going to do is use 2 of the brushes. So I'm going to use number 4 to put the color in, and the number 8, let me just make sure I got them right. Yes, number 8 to add some water. And I don't want to paint the full beard. I'm just going to do little strips and lines, and so for that we need to start off with doing some of the corners first. So just so that when we erase the pencil marks, it's not there. I mean, when we erase the pencil marks, we can see the outline. So now I'm going in with this. I've got some Payne's Gray on here, but clearly too much water. So you got to make sure that you don't have too much. And then just add your first little stroke there. And that's the whole idea. Like, you get a little bit of dampness happening. And then go in with the gray. And ever so lightly start painting that in. I'm going to do another one here. So you get the grasp of what I'm trying to say here, right? Like, just little areas here. Now this tapered bit of the beard goes all the way down here, so I want the gray to sort of definitely show up down at the bottom. And what I did there was I just went rogue and I kind of added in some color directly from the silver black velvet, and then I'm going in and smoothing it out with my number 2 Escoda. And so we've got white and we've got gray happening. Perfect. And I love how that looks. This is what we're sticking with for the beard. And so next thing that's also white that we need to tackle is a little fluff ball. So we're going to do a very similar thing. What I do want to do first is, yes, dampen it, add some gray, and then we're going to take the number 2 and do a couple of little strokes at the edge so it looks fluffy. Okay, so let's do that. And dampening it with some water first. And the same thing with this one. If you want to leave a little bit of white space in the center, then getting some of the gray, and I'm adding couple of strokes in there. It's very, very, very light. And now what I'm going to do is take this brush. First I want to dab. Actually, no, let's not dab. I'm just going to add some strokes to this. Just kind of trying to lightly use the tip of this brush to make it seem that it's a nice little fluffy bit attached to the ball. And now I'm going to dab to take off some excess gray. So we've got that nice little fluffy look to it. And then I just need to erase the the drawing of the circle, and then I think we should be fine. So for the next bit, which is the sign, we're going to paint it using the number 2, and I'm going to paint it burnt sienna. So again, because it's simple, straightforward, I'm just going to make this a time lapse so we're not prolonging the video. Alright, so here's what it looks like. We've got the burnt sienna, and I've painted the little ball at the end in the champagne so you can see the glisten. So we've got some little metallic elements in the presents and the little sign. So the next thing, you can either choose to leave this as is, or you can add a shadow, and use white gouache to do some lettering and have something on the slate here. I think I would go, because of the size, I'd probably write something like hi or hello. There's not enough space to write anything else unless you go really tiny. So yep, that's it guys. I am going to go ahead and do those on my own. I've decided to leave these bits here white because I really like how it's turned out. And yeah, can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Can't wait to see your gnomies. So tag me if you like this video. Please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. And yeah, follow me on Instagram, guys. I've got lots more stuff on there too. All right, thanks for watching. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas.